Just hang on 1 second. Good morning, Dr. Barbara Johnson. How are you this morning?
I'm great, thank you, Ron. It is a beautiful morning here, and the sun is shining and the birds are singing. How are you, your side?
No, we're doing good. And it's what's it, day 3 or day 4? We're speaking out on money mindset.
Correct.
And today we're speaking about needs and wants and the psychology behind the needs and wants on how people see money. And I think it's such an interesting topic because a lot of us, when we always need to want it instead of understanding between the need and the want. So, Barbara, on working with people for the last 40 years, and how people think about just on money, what type of advice can you give people before we go into the needs and wants by changing themselves, like what I've learned through you? Start understanding self first. Pay yourself first before you look at anything, before you start with money matters.
Well, Ron, the books that I've written, there we are, I
Yeah,
think.
the Yes, Yes, You and Whim to Warrior.
And Whim to Warrior talk about money as part of our life, as part of our mindset, as part of our way going forward. The thing is, we're not taught that mindset either grows us or reduces our capacity for potential. What we need to understand is money is part of the realm of life. And you can either love it or you can hate it. You can blame it or you can admire it. Whatever your perception about money is, it always comes from that internal space, that internal loci, where the place of conditioning is so rife that unless we challenge our conditioning, we will never change the way we think about money and the way we then attract money or earn money or make money. So it's all about the internal first, Ron.
100%. And Barbara, I mean, since 92, I've been in financial literacy. And what you just mentioned, and I'll always tell this story, and I've done a Toastmasters story on this one as well. It starts off with a young boy, 21 years old. He starts working and he's getting his first paycheck, but he didn't have enough money to purchase a car because the bank wanted a deposit or the dealership wanted a deposit, 10%. So he's walking past, let's call it the VW garage, and he sees this little Golf. It's the one he always wanted. So he starts visualizing he's going to buy this Golf. And he sees a price tag of, let's call it 100,000 Rand. So he needs to save 10,000 Rand. So 4 months down the line, he gets his 10,000 Rand and he walks into the dealership. And it says, I want that red Golf. And the salesman comes to him and says, I think you made a great choice, but here's a special for you. We're running a special and you can get the same vehicle, but it's a 10,000 Rand more and it's a GTI. Just imagine you can get this vehicle for 10,000 Rand more power, but 3 months down the line, that's when you only have to do your first payment. And let's say, for instance, that was October, so your first installment will be 1st of January. Really? Great. Well, I've got my car I always wanted, but not that specific one. It's an upgraded one. But I also needed the sunglasses to go with it. I also needed the clothes that goes with it. And all of a sudden, these needs starts growing. And when January comes, it was never told to him that the petrol is going to be more expensive, the tires is going to be more expensive, and the insurance is double the amount. Because all he was focused on was a salesperson to sell him a want. He went in there to get a need for that vehicle to get him from party A to party B. But because he was sold a dream, and that's where a lot of us get sold a dream, and we've got the car that we don't actually really want, but it's nice to have, which comes with all the bells and whistles, with clothing accounts. And then the snowball effect happens. I'll go to borrow from my credit card to pay my car installment and so on. So the needs and wants goes through the roof because all what you're interested in is the wants, and you have got no food on the table. So one of the key things is people are not prepared to sacrifice for those wants. And they don't put the stuff what they really need, like food, petrol, a roof over their head, lights and water. So working with that type of person, as I just explained, what does it do to their mindset at the end of the day of feeling like a failure because they're focusing more on the wants than the needs?
Well, every human being is unique and every situation is unique. But the bottom line of this is instant gratification and a lack of discipline and a lack of planning. So when a person like that youngster, 21 years old, sees and wants this beautiful upgrade, it's nothing wrong with that. Where the wrong apparently comes forth is the lack of now payment in January. The payment in January is the expectation and is the responsibility of the 21-year-old. Without the discipline, without the planning, without the understanding that the sunglasses and the clothing don't come with the package and that there is an extra, that the responsibility of insurance is that of the 21-year-old plus the tires and the petrol, they have to be taken into account. Youngsters are not taught budgeting. Youngsters, and when I say youngsters, I'm talking about all of life ages. We do not budget. We do not see what it means to take on a commitment like that. What does it mean? It means probably about 36 months of paying back. It means reduction in some other area of your life. It means if insurance goes up, you have to meet it. It means, etc., etc., etc. Provision needs to be made, not just for month one. And on top of it, he now has a 3-month gift, a gift that throws him off reality and takes him into la la land, so that when January comes, oh my word, it's chaos. It's chaotic. Can't think, goes into depression, doesn't pay his first installment, etc., etc. So instant gratification becomes a problem, is a problem. And we so many times have this must have now. Nothing wrong with that, but then you've got to be able to have already planned out what happens for the next let's say 36 months to cover must have now.
And what's quite important, what you just mentioned there, is where this person came in. I'm just using this young guy again, a status seeking. And I think,
Oh,
and status is such a big problem. And I can tell you so many stories, on statuses. But, and I was one of them, you know, but status doesn't put money in your bank. Status doesn't show, I mean, the first time I got a gold credit card, gee, I mean, I'd like to flash it all over, but it flashed my bank account quite quickly as well. Already, sorry, I'm dyslexic. I call it flush. So, at the end of the day is stop trying to impress people with what you've got, especially with you young. But it even gets worse when you get married, because when kids come and you've got kids, each child wants to have the status of that Nikes or that designer clothes. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Let the kids figure it out for themselves. Go push a checkers trolley just to earn something. But if you start giving, at the end of the day, the kid doesn't understand the value of money,
yeah.
because all what they want to be exactly the same, to fit in, because of, again, the status seeking, and it starts from a young age. Well, I want that racket because um, Djokovic plays with that racket. You're not a Djokovic. It's a tennis racket. I mean, focus on what you're good at and build yourself up for that need if you want it, if it's going to improve it. And what you mentioned, quite interesting, of going back to the story I told with the golf, because people don't plan. And in your book, you speak about journaling. So if you want to go get your needs and your wants, start with a journaling with 4 different color pens. If you can maybe just elaborate how a person can work with a journaling to figure out what your needs or your wants are, and your roadmap to get to whatever you want to achieve by using journaling.
So journaling is part of this book. Yes, yes, you. And journaling is a process. I think I must have been using it 30 or 40 years. It's just too long ago for me to even think about when it started. But I do know that every time I move house, I have a bonfire of all my journals. I don't take them with me. I don't refer back to them often, but I do know that my journaling is the most important thing in my life. Journaling is an opportunity to land the ideas out of your head onto paper. When you get to see it, Ron, you seem to have, I qualify that, you do have a different relationship with the topic. So let's go back to the young boys' golf. The journal is the place to explore the ideas of having this golf. So in my journal, I would write big letters, date, I want, I need, I would like, I must have, whatever wording you want to use, this golf. And what does this golf imply? This golf implies repayments, a place for parking, responsibilities, what will it be used for, etc., etc., etc. The concept of journaling is to see what it is that is percolating from the subconscious mind into the conscious mind. We have to remember that it is our subconscious mind that runs every single decision and emotion that we have. 95% of our being, our conditioning, sits in the subconscious mind. It is only through a technique or a process, I call my process journaling, that the conscious mind can actually tap into the subconscious, see what our conditioning has been about, and explore and agree with, challenge, refuse to accept on the paper prior to the purchasing of the vehicle, prior to making such a huge, big decision that is going to impact our lives and probably the lives of the people around us, whether we like it or know it at the time. The journaling is a process of best buddy. As far as I'm concerned, my journaling is my best buddy. I get to see who Barbara Johnson conditioning is prior to making a mistake. Or in the transverse of that, making a very good decision. Because when we know it is a very good decision, we come from a place of conviction, and therefore our responsibility levels increase.
And Barbara, what's quite important here is I'm busy reading the book or listening to the book, and I'll also send it through to you, Atomic Habits, and it really speaks about it in chapter 1. And one of the big things is what I've listened to is, especially in what we're discussing now, everybody wants to have a goal, everybody wants to have some form of target, what they want to achieve. But the system is the key to achieve it. And what I've just realized now while speaking to you, your journaling is your system.
Correct.
It's your system. So if you want that car, stick to that car. It doesn't matter what the outside world's going to say to you. It's a bargain or whatever it is. Stick to what works for you, because that is what you went in for. Because if you write it down and says, okay, I've got 2,000 Rand a month, that's what I want to spend it on. Don't look at the bells and whistles. Just go in and purchase what you want. You can always get all the other stuff. The same thing comes in is, and you spoke about budgeting. And the first thing that you need to tick off your budget list is your needs, your water, your lights, the food. Put 10% away for that. And the 10% is actually an account that you pay yourself for that emergency fund, which is very important because you never know when your tire bursts or the radiator blows up or whatever, or the fridge breaks. To have that emergency that doesn't come out of your account. So your needs are so important. And, it's like I say, mechanic's car is always broken because I've been there and I figured it out at the later stage because my wants was always in front of my needs. And one of the big things is what a person needs to do is, if you go do shopping as an example, and you want to do your grocery shopping, go shop after breakfast.
That's it.
Okay? Because you're going to buy the ones that you don't need because you're going to walk past that pie shop, because that's why the shopping centers, when you walk in, first thing you smell is the fresh bread and the pies. Don't shop with your kids because, they're the best salespeople around. They know how to make you feel guilty. Yeah. These are a couple of tips a person can do. So, so one of the biggest problems that we work on, especially when it comes to the needs and wants, as a scarcity mindset.
Mm.
How much is enough?
Yeah, how much?
How do you overcome that scarcity mindset? If you don't journal or don't put that system in place, you can have everything you want as long as you start having your system working for you. If you haven't got a system, things are going to fail.
So part of that system, Ron, is the gratitude journal.
Yep.
When we understand that all the small things in our lives are something that we can be grateful for, that pair of Nike shoes or that awesome handbag really doesn't cut it anymore, because it isn't about the external gratitude, whilst it is, but more so than the internal gratitude. When I'm able to go back into my budget at the end of the month and say, well, I did this, and I did this, and over and above that, I still did A, B, and C, that I still managed to enjoy the smell of the roses, the smell of coffee, the outing in the sun once a week, whatever those small little treats are, that you still get a chance to enjoy life. Scarcity is a mindset. We are taught scarcity. We are not taught gratitude. We are taught to enjoy only what everybody in society enjoys, not the simple things, but the bigger car, the better shoes, the always on the branding, always on the bigger, always on the exposed external circumstances. And scarcity management has to come from the inside, from the subconscious mind, for the conscious mind to say, well, you know what? I enjoyed the sunrise this morning. I sat in my yellow velvet chair. I sat and had my tea, watching the sunrise. And that for me is fulfilling. I am journaling. I am safe. I have got food in the fridge. I know what today looks like. All of this brings us comfort, brings us security, brings us a place of abundance. And then the external Nike shoes, etc. Poor old Nike's getting a hammering today. Those things become less valuable because the internal value has gone up. We don't need to validate ourselves through the external. We need to validate ourselves through the internal.
And it's so important because if you look at the big brands, that status symbols, what is quite important, those designers is not designed for the wealthy people. It's designed for the people who wants to look rich. Because if you look at the Elon Musks, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, you look at all of these guys, all they do is they wear t-shirts. There's no branding on them. But the person that wants to drive the Lani car or the GTR we speak about, he wants that Ray-Ban, he wants that Nike, he wants that Adidas, he wants that, he wants. I mean, a five rand t-shirt keeps you just as warm as a 250 rand t-shirt. But the difference is, I've got 250 rand in my bank account, which I can leverage to double my income. A clothing brand or a piece of eyewear or a fancy car, it's depreciated value that doesn't cover your wealth. It doesn't help you to build a legacy going forward. I learned through all of this through my own mistakes and other people, which I've learned, which are taught, where their shortcomings are. Because it comes again to your lifestyle inflation. And what I mean by lifestyle inflation, the more you earn, the more you spend. But if you earn more and your lifestyle is simple and you can put more money away into a property or some form of investment or some form of stock, as I say, the, if you work hard now, you'll have an easy life. If you want to have an easy life now, you're going to have a hard life when you get old. And you not know about it because we always had an easy life. And if anybody wants to take something out of it, start focusing on work hard now and have an easy life. Figure out what your needs are. Figure out what your wants are. Identify your spending habits. As you rightly said, get your journaling. I mean, that the green pen shows the money in the bank. Look at your bank account on a daily basis. Your blue pen can be your roadmap. Okay, this is what my goal is for this month, next week, my holiday in France, whatever it is. This is what my property is going to be. Could be a red pen, and whatever pen it is. So when you look at it, those colors start sitting with you to show this is my um, roadmap. In yeah, I'm looking at my needs and wants. If I want that, if I want that nice, let's call it jacket, it's 2,000 Rand. If I put 200 Rand away for the next 10 months, I can go buy the jacket. The want is I'd rather go buy it now, have a card, and then pay 26% interest. But in that, you've got all the other byproducts. You've got a funeral benefit, then you've got a funeral benefit there, and you've got insurance there. And if the coat might get wet, you can maybe cover that by this type of insurance. And at the end of the day, that 2,000 Rand jacket, it becomes 6,000, 7,000 Rand. That's not what you signed up for. But because you're focusing on that want and not the need, that's why the planning through your journaling is the roadmap for your needs and your wants. And that's what's so important.
And to add to that, Ron, any big purchase for myself, I am not going to do it straight away. I'm going to sleep on it at least one night. Because in the morning, things look different. So if we can give ourselves that permission, that patience, that place of allow self, internal self, to come to the front of the mind, help you with the decision, the next morning it's always clearer. Then there are the questions. Then there are the search for those answers. And when the answers match your questions and your sense of the right way forward, go ahead. But if you do not give yourself the time to digest, process through the journal, through sleep, through waking, through being honest with yourself, then we're going to make too many decisions that do not work in our favor.
And Barbara, just on that, I mean, I just look what happened in South Africa in the last month or so regarding the xenophobia. And there was one character, and I found it quite interesting, which is one of the leaders and says, the government can give each person R1 million a month and will solve the problem. Okay, the question I need to find out, let's say, for instance, that's true, and everybody's getting a million Rand a month. Who's going to have the job to fix the roads? Who's going to have the job to teach our kids? Because nobody is going to work because it's not their purpose or their gift or their passion. At the end of the day, the people's going to spend their millions, but there's no infrastructure because there was no roadmap.
There's no budgeting, and there's no value, and there's no education, and there's no, that R1,000,000 within 2 or 3 months will be dissipated and we're back to square one. It's not about the amount of money. It's about the amount of education and the way we think about money. Because bad habits on 10,000 Rand are going to escalate on R1,000,000. It will fall apart. It doesn't work. It's not a money thing. It's an internal understanding of value of money.
And it's 100% correct. Because if you look at the millionaires, self-made millionaires by winning the lotto, 95% of them are in worse condition before they won that million. Or
Yes.
2
Haven't
million or
got the
100 million.
brain set.
Because it's a spending habits what we need to look at. It comes back to your lifestyle audit, your status, all of this we need to look at and educate and coach people to say, listen, you can become more successful. Because people are so focused on education, tertiary education, but not self-education. And that is where the key comes in.
Mm.
I mean, and we spoke about it on last week of the SAP of 5,500 jobs. I mean, 1,050,000 people applied for the job and over 300,000 were graduates. Everybody's chasing the job, but nobody's chasing the opportunity that they've been given of putting stuff on paper, writing the roadmap. What's important to you to become successful? How important is it for you to get that nice car? What's important to you to get that house? But start off with self, as you said. Buy the books. What's the books? Yes, Yes, You and Wim to Warrior. So Barbara, we're on the half an hour now. 2 minutes on needs and wants. What advice or what ideas could you give to people who's listening to this podcast?
It's all about behaviors. It's all about the way we think about what behaviors we do. It's not about the amount of money. It is about you as a human being being in charge of you as a human being. External money is not the value of you as a human being. We need to understand that there are certain things that keep us alive, and there are certain things that the world operates on. Food, water, electricity, petrol, clothing keeps us alive. The external, the bigger house, the bigger car, the fancier this, the fancier that, doesn't keep us alive. It drains our mental capacity through stress, depression, anxiety. We have to find a balance. We have to find a place where we are comfortable in our own skins, in our environment. Do not become excessive because of the external. Rather become excessive on the internal. When we value ourselves, when we understand ourselves better, when we enrich our life, not somebody else's, but first our life, when we realize that we are the golden nugget, when we realize that we are the one we've been waiting for, when we realize that it is up to us, our responsibility, our discipline, that we can make a difference in the world. It's not about the bigger car. It's not about the social comparison. It is not about anything outside of us. We have to be true and honest and happy internally for us to be safe and secure in the world that keeps on trying to belittle our value by increasing the value of shoes and handbags. It's crazy. Come back to self. Find self through the system of journaling, through the system of the 8 dimensions of life. Come back to self and know value first here. Then you'll have a better balanced perspective of value outside.
Fantastic, Barbara. And I just want to end up with a quote. And it says, your purchase often tells a story about your identity, not your financial health. So on that note, Barbara, we'll see each other next week, Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the credit bureaus and how does it influence your mindset.
Great.
See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Ryan. See you
Bye.
next week. Bye-bye.